Sudan is facing one of the world's most devastating, yet least understood, humanitarian and political crises. Cities have been destroyed, millions displaced, and atrocities continue with almost total impunity. But behind the headlines is a legal battle that stretches from Khartoum to The Hague, from the African Union to the United Nations. Today, we are joined by someone who understands this landscape better than almost anyone, Rodney Dixon Casey. He's an international lawyer who has worked on cases involving governments, victims, and international tribunals, including the Sudan situation at the International Criminal Court. His work spans accountability, state responsibility, and cross-border disputes, giving him a unique lens on what is happening in Sudan right now. In this episode, we will explore the roots of the conflict, the failures of the international system, the fight for justice, and most importantly, what a path forward could look like. Thank you, Rodney, for joining us today. It is our pleasure and honor to have you join us.
Thank you.
So for our viewers who have been hearing about Sudan through scattered headlines, what would you like to tell them about the situation in Sudan today?
Well, the situation has got to a catastrophic point of epic proportions, very tragically, because of the mass crimes that are being committed against civilians on the ground,
Right.
and the lack of any real intervention by the international community to stop this. Some condemnation, but no action to make a real difference to ordinary people's lives.
Right, right. It is terrible indeed. Now, coming to your work, now, how long have you been working on Sudan, and what really got you into Sudan-related cases?
I've been following the situation and been involved, assisting parties affected there for a number of years. Over the last 20 years. It was a crisis that emerged some time ago,
right.
and hit the headlines, including at the ICC with charges being brought. And it's a very important situation because it's one that's been going on for such a long time without resolution.
Right.
Now, most recently involved with assisting victims of RSF violence who've been detained and tortured, and looking to see what justice mechanisms they might be able to obtain, as well as the countless other victims of this conflict.
Right, right, of course. Now, the ICC has been involved in Sudan for almost nearly 2 decades now.
Yes.
Why do you think the progress has been so slow?
Well, it requires the international community to act on the requests that the ICC makes for assistance, for cooperation. If the ICC issues orders and warrants, it doesn't have the ability to implement them on its own. It has to get states to do that. And as I said at the outset, states have made some bold statements about the need to stop the violence and to hold those to account.
Right.
But they haven't followed through on that as yet. Now is a critical time for them to do so, because it's got to the stage where if nothing is done, then the entire country is going to be scarred for generations to come. And if this opportunity isn't seized now to end the conflict and to hold those most responsible to account, then I don't know when it'll happen. So we are hoping that, unfortunately, because it's got to such a low point,
right,
that the international community will feel the dire need to intervene now.
Right, right. Now, talking about evidence collection, how is the evidence of war crimes really collected, and what kind of risks do you see are involved in the people who are documenting, including human rights defenders, victims, journalists, and so on?
Well, they face huge risks. We've seen with the recent attacks in Al Fasher and surrounding areas by the RSF militia that not only have they targeted civilians, but they've targeted those who are trying to help them.
Right.
They've targeted the media, civil society, trying to make sure that there is no reporting coming from the inside about what is happening. So it's those people on the ground who are most at risk. That's where the primary evidence comes from. But it can also come from those who have managed to escape,
Right.
from those who are potentially switching sides. People in the RSF, many have seen the horrors and had enough and want to come out and tell their accounts. So it can come from them. So the evidence is being collected in a number of different ways. Also, journalists and civil society from the outside are playing a critical role,
Right.
particularly in relation to some very well-documented reports of the outside involvement of other countries, in particular the UAE, in supporting the RSF, providing weapons, itself participating. There have been some very strong reports which have very carefully set out how that has occurred and which provide a basis for further investigation of those countries.
Right. How does international law view the involvement of foreign powers in supplying weapons or support to Sudan's warring factors?
Yeah, this is a critical component,
Right.
because many have said that this conflict wouldn't have erupted
Right.
without the intervention of very powerful third states like the UAE that I've mentioned. They have endless amounts of money. They can bankroll those on the inside. They can hire mercenaries, as we've seen from Colombia.
Yes.
These are the very serious allegations that have emerged of the involvement and complicity of states like the UAE in these crimes. So it's a very important component to investigate. We mustn't only be looking at the internal actors. We have to look at where this is coming from, who is fueling it and energizing it. And that's where investigations should go as well. The ICC should be looking both inside and outside of Sudan, as should national jurisdictions as well. A lot of our states have universal jurisdiction, and they could investigate these crimes where there's evidence.
Right. Now, if peace talks were to begin tomorrow, what are the important components that one should keep in mind to determine its long-term success?
Well, the justice component is vital. We've seen in so many conflicts around the world now where there are negotiations going on, so little, if no mention of the justice component. Yeah. It's all about stopping the killing, which of course is important, but what about the accountability thereafter? So this has to be central to it. It can't be an afterthought. We can't be thinking of giving amnesties automatically to persons in order to get a peace deal. Right. We have to be saying to those who have suffered most on the front line, the victims, that there will be full investigations, both in relation to those who've committed these crimes internally, but also those externally who have been supporting this and, as I say, supplying arms, providing mercenaries, and in some cases actually being directly involved.
Absolutely.
In the conflict as well.
So what can be done in our national jurisdictions to promote justice?
Well, many of our countries have universal jurisdiction legislation which allows them to investigate persons, even if they're not nationals of the country and even if the acts occurred outside
Right.
of those countries. So they could look at what is occurring in Sudan and see if perpetrators are coming to their countries. Many people flee or want to get asylum, or they come to third states to keep promoting the cause as well in Sudan. So our national jurisdictions can track people
Right.
who are coming. They can gather evidence about that, and they can investigate and prosecute. This hasn't happened enough in national jurisdictions, but this would be an important time to change that record. The ICC can't do it all. It can only do a few cases, but national jurisdictions have the capacity to do much more and lower down perpetrators as well, and to show victims that they have the opportunity to have their day in court even if it's not here in The Hague, but wherever the perpetrators go. They shouldn't be allowed to travel around the world as though nothing has happened.
Absolutely, absolutely. And lastly, despite everything, what gives you hope about Sudan's future?
Well, the fact that so much evidence has been gathered points to the resilience of those on the ground to document what is going on and to keep up the fight for that being put before a court of law. We have seen, particularly in the most recent period, so many persons coming forward with their accounts, having the courage to do so, even though that might put them at risk. And that resilience does give one hope that if persons are documenting the evidence, calling for justice, in the end it must happen. They won't be silenced by time.
Right.
So we have those avenues available, the ICC, national jurisdictions, they must be used now. It can't just be empty words saying that there will be justice in the future. It needs to be now, it can't be delayed. And that will ensure that longer term, the cycle doesn't repeat itself. It'll be a deterrence against violence in the future, and people will know that there will be consequences
Right.
if they act in this way again.
Right. That was extremely insightful. Thank you very much for joining us today, Rodney.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Of course.